What's going on YouTube, and welcome back to another vlog episode. As you can see, the reptile room is looking a bit different. I may have found a really good deal on plants and gone a little crazy. Now some of these plants are going to go in enclosures. You can see the current build going on here is looking really lush. And some of them will become mother plants, which means I will be able to propagate from them and create new plants. And some of these really big ones are going to stay in here in order to make it feel a little bit more like a jungle. Now I am having a little bit of an issue at the minute, as this enclosure here comes to life. It's starting to make the others look a little more dull, which is unfortunate, but at the same time it gives me the opportunity to do a little bit of a revamp on some of these and bring them up to that same level. So I think this one will be the first one. I've already sort of started. You can see down here I've added a plant in that corner which sort of balances out the feel, but this top section's now feeling quite bare. So we're gonna have to come up with a solution for that, but I'm really excited with how this is all coming together. As you can see down here, pond is still looking good. I trialing some lucky bamboo. You can see there, tag's still on. That one he keeps knocking over because he's liking sitting down in this section of the pond, but I've got one at the back there which is actually starting to put out some new growth. Excuse the filthy glass. So I'm going to move that front one into the back and hopefully they continue to grow up. The green dragon, now that died off quite a bit, but it's starting to bounce back now, which is really good to see. So I'm hoping that will climb all the way up and then I'll be able to weave it across the vines. There's that big guy there squashing the plants. Now a lot of people will tell you can't do live plants with big snakes. You can. You just got to pick plants that don't mind being squashed, that will bounce back from that sort of behavior, or plants big enough like these ones to not get squashed at all. It's as simple as that. Big snake, big plants. A little bit of a sneak peek on this one. Everything's looking good. The pond is in place. Gotta do a little bit of blending on that bottom edge, but that's looking nice. Little bit of die off on the bamboo palm, which is unfortunate, but we're seeing here there's actually some new shoots, and I believe that's going to turn into one as well. So hopefully that's just going through a little bit of shock and that'll make a full bounce back. Now up here we have a fogging system. So when I click this on, that runs down a pipe and the fog comes in. Let's wait for it. You can see it's starting to build down here a little bit. And roll nicely into these sections. So I've added some more plants in here as well. I added a rabbit's foot fern right next to the pond, so I'm hoping that that will stay moist enough that, especially with the fog rolling in like this, that's a really good example there, that will actually be able to survive. I really like this fern, and I've heard that it can go really well in these enclosures. You can see the pond is looking good. I used some moss up in there, so again, hopefully that survives being in a bit more of a damp environment. But yes, we got a lot of work as far as plant propagation goes, and some big live plant upgrades. Got some more of these barely ever come up, and luckily for me, when I went in they had 2 of them, so not sure exactly what's going to go on with these. I'm thinking that I would like to keep them and propagate them since they're so hard to get, but if this bamboo palm does die off, I'm going to replace it with one of these, because these leaves are quite reminiscent of bamboo leaves, and I think they will look really good. This big ficus here, this is another one that looks quite like bamboo, so I'm excited to get some cuttings from that and propagate from that. Excuse that mess, everything's a bit chaotic in here at the minute, because some smaller versions of that would be really good to mix in with bamboo as well. Greenhouses still aren't finished. A couple of Ficus benjamina down there. But with all these plants, I'm really going to have to get the lights put in these and get these running, so I have somewhere to put all of the cuttings. Something else we're going to do with this one here is we're going to add some fan ventilation. So my plan is we're going to do some panels on the edges, frame that in a bit, and then I've got a little speed controller, and we're going to run a fan on this, which will help the air circulate. The plants should really appreciate that, and when run in conjunction with the fog, it will help spread that fog around a bit, which will be really cool to see as well. The only thing that I'm not really liking with the fog is I'd love to see it creep over here. A little club moss, I added some of these in, managed to find some more. That one's not doing too well. I think this is a plant that really appreciates light, and being that that one is under that would explain why that has died off a bit. I might move it down to here, see if it'll come back. But that's always a risk with these sorts of things. Now we've got some really nice lighting in here, which I will show you how I mounted that. We have finally gone with the luminized system, and I'm really enjoying it. And we'll do a nice sped up sequence for it once we do the final reveal on this. I have some really cool things that are going to go on with this. This is going to be the most heavily bioactive enclosure, and I am working with a supplier, I suppose we will call her, and she is sending me something really exciting. So we're going to do an unboxing video, and I'm going to time that with the final reveal of this. Really looking forward to that. So let's go and have a look at another enclosure that I haven't shown in the last few weeks, and you can see how that's going. Alright, so we're at Odin's enclosure, and as you can see, it is looking absolutely amazing. All the plants keep growing. These are climbing up and starting to adhere to the tree, which is really cool. This little mystery creeper down here is doing well. As you can see, that's grown up and filled out. And there's our boy using the ferns that I added in as a visual barrier to encourage him to use more, and look at that, it has worked exactly how I had hoped. The plant down the back here, which I still can't find the tag for, and it's absolutely killing me, because that thing is growing amazingly, and I would love to work out what that is so I can use it in more. Unfortunately, the Piper did die. It looked like it was doing alright, and then all of a sudden it just dropped off really bad. I am going to actually leave it in there. The leaves will drop, it'll feed the cleanup crew, and he loves hiding down behind the support pole which I left in there. So I'm just going to leave it there as a bit of a natural hiding spot for him. But not bad at all for a budget build. It is going really, really, really well. And there's our little man there. Loving it. He's pretty calm in here now. He's had a feed. And I found that once he got that feed down and I gave him the opportunity to settle and know that there were resources, he's now become a lot more confident. He's coming out, he's laying on the vines, basking. He's now sitting on these spots, which I'm really, really happy about. This is the first day that he's done that, so pumped about that. You can see down here, there was a club moss down there as well, and see the light difference. This one's doing great. This one died. So I think club moss likes a bit of light. So definitely going to have to play around with that more. Find the ideal spots. Something else that I've been working on is upgrading the quality of these videos for you guys. Trying to work out what style of video I want to produce. Now I'm going to keep doing the vlogs because I think it's a good chance to show you guys a little bit behind the scenes, talk about successes and failures, which I think is something that doesn't get talked about enough, is the things that don't work, like the Piper in the back there. I've never seen anyone try and grow that plant in a vivarium, and maybe that's why. But you got to try these things if we're going to continue to push the bar on what can and can't be done. So one of the things that I've been looking at doing is setting myself up a bit of a filming rig. I've been watching a few of the channels that I look up to, working out what I like about the way that they structure their videos, and I'm going to start working towards producing something that's a bit more up my alley, because to be honest, the talking on camera thing is not my favorite. Like I said, the vlogs will be sticking around, but I think that speaking on video is going to be restricted to the vlogs, and then my main content, or longer form content, shall we say, is going to be a more cinematic sort of experience, because that's what I personally enjoy making. So one of the things that I bought is a little turntable, so I can show off in a better way the products that I'm using. I've also bought myself this guy here, which will be a mountable arm, which will give me more access to better angles without it being in my way, so I can show you guys a more in-depth look at what I'm doing, rather than just a distance time-lapse. While I was at it, I went and bought myself some new carving tools. I'll show you these. These are really cool. Excuse me while I just unwrap it with one hand. Come in a little leather pouch. So I'm pumped to give these guys a go at producing more detail on the backgrounds. Maybe I'll even show you guys a little bit of carving content with the first person mount. I think that'd be something that'd be pretty cool for you guys to see, how we get the details, all the cracks, the textures in our artificial rock work and tree work. Something else that I purchased was matching LED strips. Now this might not seem like a big deal, but something that's been bugging me for the longest time is when you go into the reptile room at night, I use these on an extremely low setting for nighttime light that doesn't run the whole night, but it sort of simulates the moon a little bit. And if I go into the reptile room at, say, 9:30 at night, I would like to be able to see inside the enclosures, see the activity of the animals at night, and that's a really good way to do it. But I tried a whole bunch of different brands, and I don't know if you guys have done the same or not, but when you do that, you end up with different colored lights. You would think white is white, but it is not. A lot of these units are very blue light, even with the white setting. And unless you use really, really expensive units, which isn't really what I want to do because they sell them in huge rolls, and the biggest I need is like a 5-foot length. It kind of resulted in, at night, the reptile room, every single enclosure's lights are a different shade of white, and that's been bugging me. So I bought all matching units. These are just cheap ones. The light will have a bit of a blue tint, but it won't bother me so long as they all match. So really looking forward to getting those installed and all matchy. The room is starting to come together. My aim is for an all cohesive room, and inevitably, like, I'll get the room to a spot that I'm happy with it, and then we're going to move, and then I'll start from scratch, and I'll take you guys along for the journey. So that's just part of it. I'm dreading it and looking forward to it at the same time, because my aim is to make the most tidy, cohesive reptile room that I can possibly make. And I've got some really big ideas on things that I would like to include in that. So looking forward to that, but it'll be a shame to move on from these amazing setups and start from scratch again. But that's what we signed up for. A little bit of a behind the scenes of my working space. Now, I've not really shown this space because, in all honesty, I'm doing this out of my carport, and it is extremely hard to keep everything clean and tidy, and it really annoys me. But again, trying to make improvements, so I bought a bunch of racking. This was again off Facebook Marketplace, brand new, $80 a shelf, which is pretty damn good. Now, I thought they were bigger than what they actually are, just because of the way that the measurements had been put down, but they're 4 foot across, 45 deep, and 1800 tall. I thought they were 1800 long, which would have been a lot better, but luckily I bought 3, so I was able to double them up, and we can put the backgrounds in lengthways, and it will allow us to work on a lot more all at once. There is a bit of overhang, and for that I have purchased these. These are a little fold out shelf extension that I can mount and extend that out, and I can even put planks on here to increase that even further. So looking forward to that. We've got a few backgrounds going on, some 4 foots. You can sort of see the stages that they go through. This is a little one that is going to be for some rock skinks. This one's a turtle dock. That is a floating unit. Sorry about the shadows and the background noise. This unit here is one that I'm working on for a client that is for a water dragon. These sort of spots here are spots where I carved through a bit too deep and I've had to patch it. But you can see we're getting some really nice detail. It does result in a bit of a heavier product. This cutout, there's going to be a divider. This half's going to be water, this half's going to be land. This section here will be blended across into the divider. And then up the top, there's going to be a little waterfall that trickles down and then down into the pond area. So really looking forward to getting that one done. And then we've got our materials shelf, bit of a mess. The plan is to get some containers that front open and keep all of this nice and neat. But yeah, as you can see, very messy job, but you got to do what you got to do. Offcuts bin. If anyone knows of any small skip companies, I mean, you guys probably aren't in my area, but I'm almost thinking that rubbish wise, I'm going to be better off getting a little mini dumpster of some kind. So that's something else that I'm trying to work on. And then of course we have our habitat art prints. Now I haven't been pushing these as much as I had intended. I had a few issues with the supplier, but I think we are sort of sorted with that. But you can see we are getting some really cool quality and a very unique, budget-friendly look. The whole reason I brought these out was because I understand not everyone has the funds or wants to invest in an enclosure that is possibly a temporary enclosure. Maybe it's a grow out enclosure, but you still want it to look nice. So I can understand that you don't want to spend over $400 on a background. As much as I would love you to, I can understand it. So these are our budget friendly option for you guys to create a sort of still nice display piece without breaking the bank, and allow you guys to save up for the forever home, for the big finale display, and then you can invest your money later if that is what you wish to do. So this is going to be for a blue tongue lizard. This one's for a client. It's getting picked up today, but thought I'd give you a little sneak peek at that one as well. Keep an eye out for the photos of this. I'm looking forward to getting some shots of this setup. The main way we do these prints is by drop shipping, so it's not often I get to see them in the enclosures all finished, but you will be seeing a lot more of these later on, because I plan on using some in my personal setups, but with a bit of a hybrid system. Well, that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the little update. Just a quick one before I get into getting some more work done and getting this place a bit tidier. Although I must admit, kind of am loving the overgrown jungle vibes outside of the enclosures, so probably going to keep a few of these around the room. But you guys will get to see that as time goes by. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe, and I will see you on the next one.